My name's Lawrence Kenwright and I'm the owner of Signature Living. Signature Living was started on 14th of August 2008 with just one apartment. That apartment was purchased from a liquidation that I'd just gone through. I purchased Victoria Street in 2004, went through a development process, and when the calamity of the collapse of world markets in around 2006 to 07, we got caught up in that, and we lost all of our assets. So when we started on August 14th, it was the comeback really, and we bought one apartment in 2008, and then quite soon after we bought another five, collating to six in total. When we got about to the seventh apartment, we found an apartment which was 2,200 square foot, obviously on the same site, and we decided to put 15 beds in it, and then we were the first of this type to do this, which we then called obviously group accommodation or party apartments. And before we knew it, it was booked out for 6 months in advance. We then, from our profits, then purchased the remaining six other apartments in the block of 12. And that then meant that we had control over the whole block, which meant that we, as Signature Living, were born. And then we went from there. We went on to another apartment block on Bold Street, and we created a 12-bed, 16-bed, 20-bed, and a 30-bed accommodation. We then created two other 16-bed accommodations, and these larger accommodations were actually filled before all the smaller accommodations. So we then knew at that time that we'd created something which no one else even knew existed. And in some ways, this is because we jumped on the back of Facebook, and we had an awful lot of Facebook followers. And it come across to me very early on that it was now far easier for groups of people to get together than ever before. These mini events that were taking place on Facebook, it meant that groups of young people could then get together, come into our accommodation, have a great time, and we would use our VIP process, our concierge process, to get people easy access into all of these amazing bars and clubs that were popping up all over Liverpool. So we found ourselves sort of cascading on that wave, and it was great for us because at the time we didn't realise how big that this business was going to become. So we then built a hotel, which was 30 James Street, which was almost like going back on ourselves really. We were an accommodation provider, we were serviced apartments, but now we were getting involved in the hotel business, which is almost like going back on what had already been created with hotels. But hotels haven't changed in probably in 100 years, and here we were creating a whole new style of accommodation that was really a tourist attraction before it was a hotel. And that's what we got with 30 James Street, this amazing office block, which was part of the White Star, dating back to 1896, which hadn't been used for over 30 years, was now going to be used as a hotel with this amazing story, which linked itself to Liverpool, the city. And what we then done was made sure that the whole world got to see this by our online presence, social presence, email marketing campaigns, Facebook campaigns, Twitter campaigns, and through these formats we got out the message, and that really come to fruition really by our amazing accommodation rates that we have, which Liverpool runs at 71%, and at James Street we're now at 94%, and the rest of Signature Living is at 93%. So we're far beyond the average set by all the other hotels in the city, by these, amazing hotel groups apparently, and here we are, this new entity coming into their domain, into their product, into hotels, and taking them on at their game, and hopefully doing it better. And the fact that we know that our levels are so much better than theirs proves that point. As a developer, Signature Living comes at this process in a totally different way. We finance it in a different way, and we design and build in a totally different way. So I'm just going to go into how that process works, and how it comes to fruition. And for us, it's about building as quickly as we can. That old adage of time is money is really true with how we go about our development process. So we start off with a building. We go out to the marketplace anywhere in the world. A lot of our investors are from Singapore, China, Taiwan. We go out through an agency and we sell these products. Now they either want to get involved in the Signature Living brand or they want to get involved in the actual building itself. But they would purchase their own unit totally and then do a sale and lease back to us to operate that unit. And we give them an assured rental yield. In general, it's normally around 8.5%. So what we have, if we use Shankly as a great example, there's 83 units I think in total. We've gone out to the marketplace, we'd sold those units. That gives us 50% of our funds up front, which gives us that speed to go at building out this site. The other part of that which goes in line with that is the fact that I do all the design, interior design, the design of the floor plates. I don't do the CAD drawings, but I certainly do the internal design. And I'm on site every single day. So the normal process of having to work with banks and the whole entourage that they bring along with them, architects, building control, all the other issues that brings, just creates a whole load of emails and the time into those emails and getting the answers back that you need to get back, all takes up building time and all adds to the cost. Also, the dreaded sign-off for the bank manager where the QS comes along and holds back money, all that does is hold back the process. And because we're not part of that process, we find that our buildings normally get built in 50% of the time. So on 30 James Street, we should have built out within 14 months. We built it in 6. We should have built it out for 6.7. We built it out for probably half of that. For Shankly, that's no different. We had a 14-month process, again set by a QS, and it should have been built out for £10 million. I don't know what it's going to end up at, but it'll certainly be less. And for certain that the hotel will be finished in just 6 months. And that is because we drive in our builders. We're here on a daily basis. We push and poke and prod all the time. We don't accept timescales, normal timescales. We try to push out those parameters, and in doing that, we get the job or the building finished an awful lot quicker. And that is the main process that we use in order to develop our buildings. The great thing for councils or for people who have a vested interest in the city that we're going to is the assurity that this will bring. Going down the route of the bank manager and raising the funds through that process is boom and bust. It's yes, and then at the very end, normally it's a no. One thing is for sure, when we go through the process of selling one of our buildings, the assurity is that it will happen. It may take a bit longer or it may be done very quickly. On James Street it was done within 2 weeks. On Shankly it was done within 4 months. Our next building, whatever that may be, we'll use the same process, and therefore we will, once we decide we're going to buy a building, we will definitely know that it's going to happen, and then we can definitely turn around to a council and say your building that you have a vested interest in will be brought back to use within X amount of months. Because of this development process that we have and the assurity that we bring to the sites that we have, we really want to start putting a signature living in all major cities, because hotels don't accommodate for groups, and that's what we do, and we do it really well. And the hotel groups that are out there, it's just not part of their format. So for us, it's about getting signature living out to major cities or even into European cities. We are looking at trying to put a hotel in Marbella as we speak. Hopefully we'll have the answer to that in the next couple of months. hopefully have a signature living out in Marbella for early next year. And for me, that would be an amazing part of what we brought to Liverpool as a city, to also take or put out to our 350,000 followers on Facebook to say, you know, would you like to go out to Marbella? Would you like to be looked after? Would you like a concierge service? And bring the signature living way out to people out there. When we first started with signature living, I not only got involved in the building processes and design, but I also got involved with online, and I actually built the first 2 websites that signature living had. So I understand the process of how to reach out through social platforms and websites and email marketing. So the business really has a real great foundation within that area, and for us it's about growing that our business through that process, pushing out the stories that resonate with the buildings that we've developed, but also the people that are housed within these accommodations, what their views are, how they perceive our business, and how we can then mould ourselves to them going forward as a business, is really what signature living is all about. So for us, signature living, we believe that Facebook, Twitter, email marketing, and all the main domains that are out there to push out messages are really important for us. And when we find a building, the most amazing part of it is how we bring that building back to life. But not only that, it's also about how do we tell people about this building being back to life? How do we introduce this building and this city to people that wouldn't normally come? But just by pushing out the message, say, for instance, 30 James Street, say to people, wouldn't it be amazing if you stayed here? Now that will hit people that wouldn't necessarily think about coming to Liverpool, but now, you know, you might get Jane turning to John and saying, wouldn't it be amazing if we went to Liverpool for a weekend and for X price and stay in this amazing hotel, which has got an amazing historical slant with the city, and that's where we really win. That's what we do. We don't dip into the well of booking.com and last minute and late rooms, and all the affiliates that relate now to booking a hotel room. We actually generate our own search, and we reach out to people to get them in to the city that wouldn't normally come. So that's a huge attribute to what we bring to the marketplace when we decide to buy a building. It's not just about what we do to the building, it's not about what we design, it's about the stories that resonate with that building and how we get that message across to people in order for them to come and see a city that they've never been to before, or a city that they need to revisit again because of this building. And that's what we try and do when we get our message out through all the various platforms that we have.